I must get this part of the garden cleared up. But that's the culprit up there, that flipping oak tree. It's at the moment it's dumping acorns, acorn shells or whatever you call them, cups, acorn cups, that's it, and twigs and bits of branch, because the winds are getting up now, it's autumn, and it's all coming down here, and it's just getting bad, and you can't sweep it up when it's wet, so I've got to wait for it to get dry. But this is all my bonsai trees, yeah, sitting in deep shade in the autumn. No, it just suddenly dawned on me today, if we want some autumn colours on the deciduous trees, we need some sunshine. So I've moved all the trees on their temporary staging, because this is just rubbish staging. I'm using garden chairs and all sorts. But nonetheless, I've got the trees out. This part of the garden gets the sun for half of the day. So they're not going to be in full sun all of the day. I have no bit of garden that gets sun all day long because of that. So all of the morning is shaded, and it's not until, whoops, sorry to point the camera at the sun. Everybody gone blind. It's not until the sun comes out from behind that huge oak tree that I get sun in the garden. Then unfortunately it dips down behind next door's house, and that's followed by that big tree there. So I don't get a lot of sun in the garden, but nonetheless we will get some sun. So deciduous trees that are going to colour up, things like the trident maples, the other maples over here, my deciduous should get some colour on it. So we're looking at trying to, the Zelkova, that should get some wonderful colours. It's started. But it won't do it that well without some sunshine. And also, I mean, I brought my beech tree out here, that that should get some nice colour this year, because there's an awful lot more tree. This has done a lot of growing this year, and the potential for growth next year, wires cutting in, nonetheless tough. I'm not taking it off until I can see what I'm doing. We should get some nice colour on the I've forgotten what that is now. Pseudo larch, pretend larch. We should get some colour on that as well. And then the conifers just need some sunshine to sort of ripen them off, really. So yeah, a little bit of a rearranging for today, just to get the trees. This tree is going to get some serious growth on it next year. This year I spent the whole year pinching back, and on reflection, that was not the best of ideas. I need this tree to be big to go with that trunk, because at the moment it's the opposite to many of my trees. It's the one tree where you can see all of the trunk and the branch structure, but we can see too much. We need some more twigs and some more leaves, so that'll be the job for that one. The trident maples, the well, its intention was a triple trunk. I don't think I'm going to leave it like that. When I repot that in the spring, the smallest tree will come off as a separate tree, and the other two will stay to form a twin trunk. So I will be separating those. My 6, blackthorn, they're going to be made into a clump, so they will all be bound together at the base and put in a single pot and trimmed back in the spring when they show signs of growth. As soon as the buds start to grow, they'll get hit hard and pushed back. The goal being that they will then sprout out, yeah, because all the energy will have to go somewhere, and it's not going to go into the top of the shoots. So they take them off and it'll go elsewhere, redistribute. My 2 acers, they're not bad. Their structure's not bad. They'll get repotted. My Zelkova was repotted in the spring this year. I've had some ideas of what to do with the apex of these 2. It's a twin trunk, just about. But next year, this one's going to get hit hard. It's not going to be allowed to produce long extensions and large leaves. So every time I see a large leaf like this, I will just take it off, no matter where it is, and try and keep the leaves small. My Deshojo next year will be worked on. I'm going to do the tedious job, the most tedious job in the world with that next spring. I will do its spring prune, where I take off crossing branches, dead branches, anything that's growing in the wrong direction, things pointing downwards, all that sort of stuff that everybody does. I'll do all of that just before the buds start to swell, or as the buds start to swell. But as those buds open, every single growing tip is going to be pinched off. So it'll be forced into forming really fine ramification and small leaves as a consequence, so that through the year hopefully we can still see its shape and it doesn't turn into a bush, which is what it did this year. So plans, my Scots pine, all that's going to get is the dead needles taken off. Most of the wire will be taken off, and I think that will be fine as it is. The wiring that's been done on it has shaped the pads quite nicely, so I'm happy with that. What I'm going to do with this I'm not quite sure yet. This was a collected tree from last spring. It's got this funny bit here where it splits, and it hasn't got a lot of movement on the trunk. Trunk is still bendable if I chose to, but we can do some work on the branches. We can get some shape into these branches. Yeah, we can do something on that. And my little Austrian black pine has got growth at the base. This are good. It's got some nice branching here, and it's got some up here too, and I'm seriously thinking of taking it off back here. We shall see. I'm not going to do anything this time of year. And then this is what is this? I've forgotten what this is. It's a black pine. I think. Forgotten what the hell that is. I bought that. Yes, Japanese black pine, I believe. That just needs to backbud, basically, which it's not going to do this year because I'm not going to touch it because I've only just got it. My pseudo larch, little forest. It's only 5 trees. I don't want to buy any more trees, but it's already lending itself to a 3 and a 2 with a little pathway through the middle. So when that comes out of that pot and goes in another pot, I'll keep 3 together on the left and put some space between those 3 and the other 2, and make the other 2 a little closer together. So I'm going to do that as a 3 and a 2. But it's all very well having a forest with trunks close together. If you ever walk into a forest, they're not that close together. Not mature trees, they've got gaps in them. So these need to be spread out a little bit so that they're more in scale with the foliage. So yeah, lots of things to look forward to for next year. I mean, my acers are, I mean, these are large trees now. Oof! You know, these are quite large trees. They've got some structure to them. They've got some movement in the trunks, and they've got the sort of movement that I like in a maple. It's gentle. Gentle. Not you can't do that with a maple. That's not how they grow. Well, you can, but I don't. And this one's got some nice bark, nice gnarly bark. Fissured, I think is the word. And its structure's not bad. Its first branch is thicker than its second branch, and then it spreads out into various directions to make an apex. So that's not a bad tree. It doesn't need a lot doing to it. It could do with the right hand first branch pulling down a little bit, and the branch above it pulling down a little bit. But we'll see how we go, because last year we tried pulling some branches down. Let me just put that back in the sunshine. Last year we decided that first branch on the right hand side could do with pulling down a bit, and promptly snapped it, and that was glued together, taped and wired, and it seems to have taken okay. But again, I mean, that's got some reasonable structure to it. You know, it's got some gentle movement, and you know, first, second, third branches and an apex. Yeah, so some things to do, but having just put all the trees out in the sun, I think it's going to chuck it down with rain tomorrow. So, well, when there is some autumn sun, they will now get it, which I think is important. So, God, that fuchsia's looking absolutely gorgeous. That nearly died in the heat wave. But, and as for bonsai in the garden, what about this then? This is a bird dropping seedling that's come up in that pot that wasn't there before, and it's grown this much this year. I don't know what it is. It looks like some sort of cotoneaster or something, but it's got relatively small leaves. It branches at leaf nodes, and down at the base there I think there's a bit of a tree coming on, so we might be having a go at thinking about, could that be a bonsai? Maybe, who knows. And the oak trees in the garden, they've all got to come out, they can't be left. And we will be doing an oak forest. I've got far too many trees. I mean, we've got oak trees up in here somewhere. Yeah, we've got oak trees in here. There's at least 2 up in that bit. And then in this bit here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then over in there, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 or 10, maybe 11 trees. And 11's a nice number for a bonsai forest. But I'm not sure oak is going to make the best of forests because of the leaf size. But if they were grown onto reasonable sized trees with some height and some width, then the leaf size becomes more in perspective, shall we say. Anyway, that's for next year. As for this year, all it is now is a matter of looking out for dry periods and dropping some water in if we get some dry periods. But while we're getting heavy rain and things, growth has almost stopped now, so we don't need loads of water, and we don't really need much feed this time of year. If I had some, I would apply some tomato type feed, you know, some low nitrogen and high other stuff just to harden them off. But we're not getting the harsh winters in this country anymore, so, you know, having really hardened off trees is not quite so essential as it used to be. And all of these are hardy in the zone that I live in, South Coast UK, so they'll all be okay. I've only ever lost 2 trees ever due to a harsh winter. One was a Chinese elm, and the other one was a white pine, Japanese white pine, that I bought in mid to late summer, and it didn't even get into the winter. It died. And I have a viewer. This is going to be fun. I doubt if many of you get this, but I do, and it's a consequence of the Orchid channels. Nothing to do with the Bonsai channel. It's the sort of community that there is in the Orchid channels. I've got somebody who is an orchid person, views the Orchid channels and my channel in particular, that came across to the Bonsai channel, and that person has offered quite a large sum of money for me to buy a reasonable bonsai tree. And the idea was that I would find the tree, she would buy it and get it sent to me. And I said, if you're donating that amount of money, I'll go and get it. So I'm going to pay a visit to a bonsai nursery in the not too distant future to choose a tree, the money of which will be donated by a viewer. And what I might do, it depends what's there, depends what I see and what takes my fancy. But if something takes my fancy that is more than that amount of money, I can put the rest in myself to get a tree I really want. So that's to come. So a trip to a bonsai nursery, if I'm allowed, I will video that so that you all get to see the sort of trees at that particular nursery. I haven't finally decided which one I'm going to go to. I would love a day out at Peter Chan's nursery, but I don't like his prices for the trees. So other alternatives, because there aren't many, The other alternative which I'm seriously thinking of is Windy Bank, and there is also a nursery in Devon, but I don't know much about it. I could combine a trip to the nursery in Devon with a trip to the Orchid nursery, Burnham's, and do both in one day. Yet to be decided, but that trip will be in the next couple of weeks because it's supposed to be a birthday present. Now, although I don't necessarily disclose my birthday, there are some that have managed to get hold of it. And a couple of years ago I had a nice birthday present which was a voucher to go and spend at the Orchid Nursery. Well, this is like a sort of equivalent, but on the bonsai side of life. So it is a birthday present. My birthday is towards the end of October, so we'll need to get this done, well, in the next couple of weeks really. Anyway, thanks for listening to the waffle and having a quick look round the trees, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.